Okay, thank you for coming to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting, September 3rd, 2013. We'll begin with the salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Pullen, call the roll, please.
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Snipes? Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Mr. Snipes will be with us. He's running a little bit late. We're going to begin with item number 1, public comment. Mr. Gray is getting the sign-in sheet from the back. I mean, pretty simple, really. Very simple agenda this evening. So thank you for coming out. Okay, first name on the list, Roland Kenny.
Good evening, Roland Kenny, Falls Township. I know you don't want to hear nothing about our country around the world, so I'll just keep it with what's in our township. I got one question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
This Isles Island, do you 5 own it? Does the Waste Management own it? Does U.S. Steel own it? Or do we own it, the taxpayers of Falls Township?
Right now, as we speak, the island is owned by Waste Management. In the 2005 agreement that was done with Waste Management for the new landfill, which will be opening up in a few years, one of the parts of that agreement was that when Biles Island when Waste Management was finished with Biles Island, finished their operations, they would cede the land to Falls Township for $1. Now, the part we're talking about moving on is a section of the island that they've been finished with for a long time. So it's all kind of natural grown up again. They're still using most of the island, and they'll be using most of the island for probably another 10, 15 years.
So then, the taxpayers of Falls Township really owns that?
Not, well,
It's going,
eventually.
they're going to own it.
Eventually, yes. Yes.
I'm just making a suggestion here. You 5, to throw it on the ballot this November, see if people want to go spend a million, 15 million, 50 million. And if you get a response, 51% people say go for it, I'll be in back of you. But if they say they don't want it, drop it. That's all I got to say. God bless
Okay.
and good night, gentlemen.
Thank you. Doran Johnson?
Doran Johnson, Falls Township. I just wanted to state, I'm not sure if it's coming before this board. I know it's coming next about the propane down there on Tyburn. We're against that, and that's all I really have to say. I'm against any propane tanks in our neighborhood.
Yeah, we are too.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's not been posted on the hearing board,
Widow Mariani?
Bob, come watch.
but it's been pulled, right?
For those people that are, see some new faces here, for those people that are new to these meetings, just to let you know, there are names here, people have signed in, we'll call them in order, and then if there are more people that wish to speak, we'll be happy to recognize you. Okay? Mr. Mariani.
Thank you. I'm going to respond to what I interpreted as a criticism when you were reading the bill list of a comment that I made. And when I said, why do we spend millions of dollars to provide facilities to accommodate an insignificant number of our residents? I said that because I believe that's exactly what we do. Now, I know you, Mr. Chairman, are accustomed to criticism, especially after being married for 16 years. And I'm going to share...
17, but go ahead.
17, good for you. I'm going to share that experience with you today. Today is my 53rd anniversary.
Congratulations.
I was married September 3rd, 1960, which means I have a little bit more experience than you do with criticism and probably a thicker skin. So, look, I understand that we provide services for all when we provide things like the police and lights and roads, so on and so forth. But if you look at Section 607 of the second-class Township Code as it is amended, It places the affairs of the township in the hands of the Board of Supervisors. So you're expected to provide those kinds of services, just like the other 1,459 second-class townships that are in Pennsylvania. The reason really why I made the comment, and I said this during the last meeting, I'm going to repeat it again, I hope it sinks in. Doesn't take a genius to see what happens when the number of township commitments, which continue to grow, outgrow the economy, which has to support them. That's how you get in trouble. Now, there's a difference between providing essential services that you mentioned, and I agree we have to provide, and the continued unnecessary expenditures to provide what I consider to be accommodations for a negligible few. What happens is eventually, as they add up, and you continue to do that, they become unsustainable. And then what follows is we either have to reduce the services that we should give to people, and in some cases, deny them altogether if we get in trouble. Now, that's as simple as the science of mathematics. So that's why I always proposed in investing in more useful things, and one of the things I think is more useful is that, third time I'm going to ask you, is that leaf vacuum service that we should provide for this entire township, and it is well within our budget. There's no question about that. I mean, I get 35, 45 bags myself, and what are you going to do when you get a guy that's my age and you can't do it? It becomes expensive. Now, fast question, have we received the $385,000 from the Community Development Block Grant?
For the senior center?
Yes. Did we get that?
Yes.
We got that. What happened with it?
It's used on the senior center.
Went into the senior center.
That was the whole reason we got it.
Okay, well then, the senior center started out budget at $1 million, then it went to $1.2 million, and if we would have gotten to 385, 195, should have reduced our cost to $814,805. Since then, we had 2 change orders for over $82,000.
Okay.
How did we get to $1.3 million with the $385,000?
So I think they were including the $385,000. I think.
No, we weren't. No, we weren't.
Mr. Gray?
$385,000 was a reduction off the total cost. The county was going to pay for that portion, township was going to pay the
That's right.
difference.
So when we budgeted 1.2, and I'll quote you, Mr. Chairman, it was, if we didn't get that, then it would cost us 1.2. We're already at 1.3, we're out to 385. I'll give you another example.
No, that's not accurate.
No, Mr.
It's 1.3 and the 385 is deducted off of that. So the amount that the township is responsible for is 1.3 minus 385.
Okay?
Right.
That's what you're saying.
That's what's correct.
Mr. Marion,
Okay.
we budgeted 1.2 million. We're assuming that we have that money coming from the county, and which we're pretty much assured of it, and so we
Answered
had,
my question.
right, so that
We
was.
used it properly.
Yes.
Okay? The reason why I bring that up is we had a police budget at 374. We got a county grant at 216, and what we did was, instead of reduce that to 157, we used the 374 and we used the 216,000 also. So all I'm trying to say is, look, here's my point, all right? I believe our spending on non-essential services, I'm not talking about roads, I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I believe, I really do, I think we're out of control. And I think we need some more fiscal discipline, because discipline is what's going to determine our future. I really, really think we've got to slow down on some of the non-essential spending. And I thank you.
All right, thank you.
And I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my anniversary.
Best of luck. We have one individual who's not from Falls, who signed in on the Falls sign-in sheet. What I'm going to do, I am going to come back to that person, but typically we allow people from Falls Township to speak first.
I just thought it was a sign-in sheet.
Okay. Oh, you don't wish to speak anyway? Okay. All right. Gentleman thought it was just a generic sign-in sheet. He doesn't want to speak anyway. All right. Are there other Falls Township residents who wish to speak? Yes, ma'am. just ask you to come up and just identify yourself with the microphone, please.
33rd, 43rd, or 53rd anniversary if I'm here.
My name's Janet Morris. I just jotted down a few things that I wanted to say. I live in close proximity to the proposed site for the East Coast Propane, and they're requesting a variance from you in order to operate combustible material in that area. And I'm against it. I live very close, and they say it's safe, but recently, in fact, it was July 29th, there was a plant in Travis, Florida, that had a severe explosion. It was actually a smaller plant than the one that's proposed. They are proposing 3 30,000-gallon tanks, I believe, or 4, and there was only 3 at the one in Florida. And residents up to miles away were evacuated. There was no explosion of one of the large tanks, but they said the smaller tanks were like bombs going off. And I just don't think it's safe. I mean, Falls Township should deny this variance based on, you know, for the proposed site, it's residential. A lot of the community is a mobile home park. And unfortunately, because the people that live there don't own the property, they weren't even notified, and that's why I think you have an empty room here, because they own their mobile homes, but they don't own the property. They pay taxes, but they weren't aware of this. And I've spoken to some of them because I live in a house on the area. I walk my dog. I pass people. I let them know, and everyone that I've talked to is against it. They're not happy about it. And there's probably over 1,000 residents there. They pay taxes, but they can't just up and move because they own their mobile homes. It's not like they're renting. They can't just leave. And personally, I think my property value will decrease if you allow this, and I'm not happy about it at all. We already have a natural gas pumping facility at the end of Cedar Lane. Imagine if this thing blows, then that's going to go too. I mean, I might as well kiss my butt goodbye. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's good. And I'm asking that, you uphold your code. It's in place for a reason. And, I am a registered voter, and I just ask that, I don't see what you would have to gain from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably all of us agree with you.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, because the gentleman that was here last time from East Coast handed out a pamphlet, and he was here to answer questions and stuff like that. And I said, I have one question, sir. Where do you live? And he said Langhorne. And I said, that's it. And I walked away.
Just so you know, sort of the process. What they have to do is they have to go to the zoning board first, which is a different board than us.
Yeah, that's next Tuesday.
So they ask the zoning board for those variances. We as a township can ask, and actually have asked, our solicitor to go and speak on behalf of the township.
Okay.
Because technically the zoning board can do whatever they want. They don't have to
Right.
listen to us. They listen, hopefully, they listen to residents and they weigh.
Yeah, well, I filed a complaint. As soon as I heard about it, I
Right.
came up to the office and I actually filled out, the official complaint form to Mr. Gray
Yeah,
in
so-
hopes that he would appreciate that.
Yeah, I think,
And I believe I've emailed a couple of you.
okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you got that.
I think,
I don't think I
I
got it.
did.
said-
I copied you. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. You and Mr. Snipes, because I know you're in the area.
yeah. So, I know the 5 of us are against it. We have directed our solicitor that if they choose, and I think they know that we're against it. So if they choose to kind of go anyway to the zoning board, our solicitor's going to be there and be very, very
Yeah,
strong.
I
and-
considered contacting the Department of Community Affairs because I work for the New Jersey State Department of Community
Okay.
Affairs, and we oversee all the codes in the entire state.
Right.
So I thought perhaps that if they got involved, they could do something.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah, but if the zoning board decides to grant the variance, and again, we don't control them, we actually, I think I could probably speak for all of us and say that we would sue to stop it from
Right.
moving forward, I think maybe, but.
Yeah, very good, because we just went to Atlantic City for the weekend the other day, and we went by the suburban propane tank facility. I was looking at the way it was set up, and it was actually away from homes. I mean, it was still in a residential area, but like, I was looking at it, and it looks dangerous. It really does.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a thing in Florida. I mean, it's way too close
Yeah,
to
I have
way
a
too many
copy of that for
homes.
you if you.
The article, sure.
Print it
Sure, we'll take it.
just so you can take a look at it. And,
Mr. Harvey,
unfortunately,
oh, no, sorry.
unfortunately, I couldn't get the photo when I was on my printer.
That's all right.
The hearing is scheduled on Tuesday in front of the zoning hearing board. We have every indication that the hearing is going to be continued. We have contacted the applicant's attorney, and we have made the applicant's attorney aware of the fact that the township is opposed. As you are aware, this is a use variance, and as you are aware that the standard for granting a use variance is much higher than granting a dimensional variance. It will be very difficult for this applicant to meet his burden for a use variance. Doesn't mean he can't, but it would probably be very difficult. It's going to be a very high bar for them to get over. There is the possibility that, being aware of the bar that they have to get over and being aware of the township's opposition, that the applicant may end up withdrawing their application at some later date, and it may never come before the zoning hearing board. But for Ms. Morris and anyone else who is listening, registering a complaint with the Department of Community Affairs, filling out a form and giving it to Mr. Gray, or coming here tonight has absolutely no legal effect. If you want to have a voice, you need to show up at the hearing. You need to
That's
request.
Tuesday?
Correct.
Well, it's probably going to be continued.
Yeah.
And you need to request party status, and then you need to go on the record then to voice your objections. Anything you do here is not taken into consideration by the zoning hearing board. The zoning hearing board is a quasi-judicial body, and they're only allowed to consider the evidence that is in front of them at that time, not
Okay, so then I
extraneously.
should present my case to them so
Yep.
that they have
Right.
something
Yep.
to consider.
But you may want to check instead of having to come down here, you may want to check the website on the morning or afternoon of, because it appears as if this is going to be continued.
Yeah, which basically means that the applicant, sensing that this might not go real well,
Right, they're
might
trying to
say, you
get
know what,
more
yeah,
evidence."
let's not, I don't want to hurt this month, let's wait till next month.
Right.
So, but as Mr. Clark said, just, check the
Right,
website.
because if they do enough continuances, nobody might show up.
Possible.
Well, we're going to show up.
Yeah, we'll be
Okay,
there.
very good.
Yeah.
All right, well,
We'll
thank
be there.
you.
Right. Thank you. Any other names? Any other interested speakers? Yes, sir.
My name is Peter Jack. I live 6 Corbin Lane. I'm a neighbor. Mm-hmm. And I just want to appreciate that you guys against it. Because my house will be devalued about $120,000 if that
Sure. Absolutely.
the money disappears. It's not just like me, it's Mrs. Morris. She just recently did some renovations. My neighbor, the house is like 350. That's like 100,000 disappeared. You know what I mean? We're talking about $5 million around.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
You know, and then there's pollution. We have the chemical factory behind us. We have the Kmart. We got a Tyburn Road, the dump trucks, landfill. Okay, we are being suffocated. I mean, slowly. We need less.
Right.
You know, we doesn't need more. Also, the health factor, like a stress factor. You know, the cortisol levels rises. You know, the old people, like 60. You know, you should see what the fear does with people. You know, the fear. You know.
Sure.
I was in the military for 7 years. I spent 7. I fear for my life every day. I'm not saying that I'm going to fear for my life, but Mrs. Tyler, that lives 300 feet from it, she's 70 years old. She's going to probably fear every day.
Sure.
You know, the cortisol levels are so high, it's going to disrupt your sleeping patterns. Okay, it's going to. You know, I became suicidal when I was 20. I saw so much misery, it's unbelievable. That's why I had to quit the army, because fear does make you suicidal. I don't want to go into extreme.
Right.
But these are older people. They're very fragile. They're over 60, 70 years old.
Okay.
You know, the sleeping pattern is disrupted. You cannot sleep at night. You're sleeping while you're walking. You're sleeping behind the steering wheel. Okay. Now your immune system crashes. Okay. You can die just catching the flu.
Sure.
I'm talking about the people that live 100 feet from us.
Right.
All right. So.
All right, we appreciate you
Good luck,
coming.
you
Sure.
guys.
You're welcome.
Against
Thank you for coming out. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Any non-residents? All right. So thank you for those of you who came out and spoke and voiced your opinions. We'll move on with our agenda. As we said, we have a pretty straightforward agenda. Item number 2 is consider purchase of LED streetlights for Penn's Grant. Mr. Gray.
Yes, Mr. Joe Arnao from Public Works has secured a quote for the purchase of new LED streetlights for the Penn's Grant development. This will be a CoStar's purchase and will be an in-house project for the Public Works Department. They will remove the old light fixtures, then install the new LED colonial-type fixtures. These lights will greatly improve the visibility around the neighborhood. The cost of the upgrade will be $32,859, which was included in the 2013 budget. The board is asked to consider this item. Here tonight to explain this further is Public Works Foreman, Mr. Joe Arnao.
Mr. Arnao, how you doing?
Very good. Yourselves?
Good.
Good.
Good. So I know we saw a couple different, different options for these lights, and
Yes. We put up, I think it was 3 different ones.
Right.
That you guys checked out. And the one we like the most and looks like it's the most user-friendly and long-lasting longevity is what we've been using, an American Electric product.
East Coast propane on the agenda.
Very good product. And we should get at least 10 to 15 years out of it as compared to our high-pressure sodiums, which are, a little less than that.
right, right, and use up a lot more
A
electricity.
lot less electricity. Have to look on the PICO website and see about the rebate program. They stopped it for a little while. They come started, they kick it, so we have to see about that. We've already gotten some rebates before on other projects that we've done. But I think we all agree, you guys all seen it, that looked like the best one. As far as
That's the one that's still there, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're looking at $32,859, and it's 50 lights?
Yeah, it's
Is that right?
50 lights, colonial type lights that will replace every light in Penn's Grant. And the illumination is going to be a little better. What's out there are 4,000 watt mercuries.
Mm-hmm.
They're antiquated, they're old, they're barely lit.
Ballast hum.
Yeah, they're outdated.
Okay.
So this will really brighten the neighborhood up.
It-
Won't be
yes.
as bright as your neighborhood.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure it took the people in my neighborhood a couple of weeks to sort of get used to how bright it was. I was getting quite a few complaints.
That's
But I kind of figured they would sort of adjust.
That's one of the problems with the LEDs being so new. We just started in like 2008, dabbling in it a little bit. But they're coming along now. They're a lot better than they were. It's like anything, right?
Right.
I think we paid $1,200 a light for Nottingham. These are less than 7.
Right.
In a couple years, in like 2 years. So it's they're coming along.
Good. All right, comments or questions for Mr. Arnao? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Snipes?
No, sounds good.
Mr. Dents?
None.
Mr. Rocco?
I have none, thank you.
Okay, any public comment needed? See no hands. All right, then, is there a motion to approve the purchase of the LED streetlights for Penn's Grant in the amount of $32,859?
So moved. Seconding.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Snipes?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank.
Have y'all seen the nice new truck we got back out?
I haven't seen that. No, I did see the job you guys did on Route Court. It looks nice.
Yeah, that came out very well.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Have a good night.
See you. Next item on our agenda is discussion of traffic signal plans for New Falls Road and Tyburn Road. Mr. Gray?
Yes, Tom Beach from Remington Vernick Beach has been working on the signal plans for the New Falls Road and Tyburn Road intersection. Here to discuss that item further is Mr. Tom Beach.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you remember, you were having some issues with some vehicle conflicts at the intersection of Tyburn and New Falls, and asked us to take a look at it. We have come up with some ideas, and we've discussed them previously with you. At this point, we've completed the plans, we've received the traffic signal plans from PennDOT, made the improvements. I brought with me Mike Angelestro, who's my traffic signal expert here, because I figured there might be some questions you may have. He'll briefly go through what we envision as the movements at that intersection.
Okay.
Hello, hello, Board, Chairman, members of the Board. My name is Mike Angelascio. We're from Remington Vernica Beach Engineers. What we propose to do is, it's our understanding, and observing traffic out there, the southbound New Falls Road approach has difficulty proceeding through the intersection because of the amount of right-hand or left-hand turns heading northbound. So what we propose to do is provide a split phase for the New Falls approach, meaning that the southbound approach will go, no other vehicles will move in the intersection, and then the northbound vehicles will go, no other vehicles will move through the intersection. At that point, we expect the majority of the vehicle queues will clear out on both approaches. And the Tyburn Road approaches, those phases will remain the same. The westbound approach will have a lead, and then the eastbound and westbound will go together. And we expect the level of service to improve in the AM and PM peak hours, overall level of service. We did speak to PennDOT, and initial discussions, they weren't opposed to the improvements. We just need to revise the plan, submit a small report to PennDOT, and move forward. Oh, the improvements are going to be, we expect to add a couple different signal heads. We're going from a 3-section head, red, yellow, green, to red, yellow, green, and then a turn arrow on the New Falls approach, southbound. The northbound has those indications currently. We're going to remove a couple signs that would be in conflict with the new movements. Aside from that, they're the improvements that are recommended and anticipated at this time.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions from board members for either the two gentlemen, Mr. Galloway?
Yes, so when you're exiting Fallsington, you're going to have your own green. It won't even be an arrow, it's just your own green.
Coming southbound on
Correct.
New Falls Road, you're going to get a green turn arrow left turn movements, and then the rest of the movements will be unchanged.
And then when you're traveling northbound, there'll be no movement from that side whatsoever.
That's correct. When you're proceeding southbound, you have the green indication, no other vehicle should be moving at the intersection.
Is there any concern that the amount of traffic traveling northbound is greater than the traffic traveling southbound?
Oh, absolutely. The northbound New Falls Road approaches has much more traffic than the southbound approach. And there's a considerable left turn movement on the northbound approach. And I think that's probably what the problem is out there. There's so many vehicles turning left at that intersection.
It's just, you took it into consideration, though, with the phase of the light.
Oh, absolutely. We timed it. We put it into the program. We optimized the signal timing to get the best level of service based on the available timing and the amount of vehicles going through the intersection during your peak hours.
Oh, very good, thank you.
Mr. Snipes?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense because in my experience, the kooky thing at the intersection going north, going south on New Falls Road is not being able to see over the hill to know who's coming, whether they're turning, whether they're coming straight. And that's sort of, so with a left-hand turn arrow, that's going to make, it's going to make things a lot different.
Right, it'll be a protected left for that movement.
And the question I have is, do you think that this would actually ease a wait time or increase a wait time? I'm not saying increased is bad if it's more safety,
The delay, some movements and some approaches may have a little bit of increase in delay, but overall, we are reducing the delay on all the approaches.
Think you would reduce the
Because
delay?
again, the
Okay.
overall level of service is going from a D in the AM to a C, and then from a C to a B in the PM peak hour.
Right.
So we're actually, from an overall perspective, we're improving the level of service out there.
Well, I think whatever we can do is good. I was there maybe a month ago. There was a pretty bad accident, so, and that's pretty continuous, so
Yeah.
thank you for your work. Yeah.
Mr. Dents?
The installation is something that our public works will be able to do themselves?
Not sure what your capabilities are.
Installing the new traffic light head?
I'd have to see what needs to come, so possibly if not, the contract for armor,
Okay.
just for the modifications.
Yeah, and we'll have to change the timing as well.
Generally, it's done by whoever does your maintenance of your
Gotcha.
traffic.
Okay.
That's all I had, thanks.
Mr. Rocco?
No, I actually like the idea. It's an intersection I experience quite often since I live in Fallsington. My concerns were traffic flow, but it sounds like it's actually going to help as well. So,
We expect it to improve, yes.
yeah. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I wanna thank Mr. Rocco for putting a lot of work in on this with Mr. Beach. But yeah, it definitely is a problem. It is an intersection I go through every day, back and forth to work, and it's there definitely, you know, I saw an accident even a month ago, just maybe a week ago. There was an accident there. I don't know whether it had to do with someone turning or not turning, but you know, there's a pretty bad accident. Someone taken away in an ambulance on a backboard. It was, you know, it was. It's a pretty dangerous intersection of lack of visibility, the confusion coming out of Fallsington. You have to wait, and the green arrow goes away for the people that are coming northbound, and they're waiting for you to go because they think that, okay, well, the arrow's gone, so now and you still have a red. Right. And they wait and they wait and they wait and they wait, and just when they're tired of waiting and they decide just to go, you know, is when the green light comes on and you start to go. So it's a mess. So, so at this point we are looking to approve the you guys moving forward with this, correct?
At this point, we would submit to PennDOT.
Okay.
To get their final approval. They may, we expect they might have little tweaks here and there, but nothing major from what the plan shows. Then, probably because it's under the bid threshold, if you either work with your traffic signal maintenance person or put it out on pen bid or something like that.
Okay.
To get some quotes if you want to go that.
Okay. So tonight, we're not approving any expenditure of money right now. We're just approving the use going on to PennDOT, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any public comment needed? See no hands. Is there a motion then to approve traffic engineers moving forward with their application to PennDOT?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, and Mr. Beach, since you're here, we had a comment at the last meeting about the New Falls Road sidewalks that we were talking about doing. If you just want to give us a brief update just on where we stand with that.
We've completed all our survey work and some preliminary plans. Submitted to Mr. Gray today. There's 3 commercial property owners that we feel will be most affected. I've already met with them from a preliminary standpoint, pitched the idea. They were like so-so, but I've isolated those 3 properties down to warrant an actual meeting, going out there and sitting down and showing them what we've come up with. We think it's going to be minimal effect to them. It's just a matter of, you know, convincing them that there won't be a whole lot of impact to their properties. I don't think we'll lose any parking spots on either or all 3 locations. So again, I think the next step would be to just take that before I complete the preliminary plans, just to make sure, go through those 3 property owners.
Okay.
So I did submit it to Pete today the manager today, for any comments that he may have, and then we'll hopefully set something up in the next couple of weeks to go out there, meet with the commercial property owners, and see if we get everybody in agreement. And move
Okay.
forward.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Beach regarding the sidewalk proposal? No? All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, next item on the agenda is consider resolution for the purchase of Motorola radios for the fire and police department, fire departments and police department. Mr. Gray.
Yes, the board is asked to consider a resolution for the authorization to participate in the purchasing contract between the County of Bucks and Motorola Solutions, Inc. Also, the potential purchase of radios for the police and fire department, police and fire offices. Here tonight to discuss this item further is Lieutenant Henry Ward.
Good evening.
Evening.
This is a mandated federal program. All police departments, EMS, emergency personnel have to upgrade the radios. They're narrow banding the system. The county has chosen the system that they wanted to use, and basically have told us what we have to buy, and we're at that point now. The last meeting will be September 12th. We had a projected budget that the board put aside for $1.2 million. I have some numbers here. Levittown Fire Company's already purchased their radios and being reimbursed $67,000. They were able to get 2 grants, so that brought their monies down. Falls Fire Company purchased their radios for $98,000. Fairless Hills Fire Company is still on hold, but they're projecting that their costs will be no more than $100,000. For the Emergency Management Division of the Township, which includes the Fire Marshal's Office and the road crew, is approximately $64,800. And the Police Department right now, we're projecting that our costs will be somewhere in the area of $614,000. The only hang-up that we have right now, and I won't find out until the meeting, is this stuff all has to be set up by Motorola. They have not set a price yet for taking out our old radios and putting in the new radios, so that's where we're going to have some give and take. But I feel confident that we're going to come in anywhere between $233,000 and $210,000 under budget of what the board put aside.
Okay. That's good to hear, and obviously thank you for your efforts, but also the fire companies for them going out and doing the work to get some grants and lower this price. Yeah, we knew this was coming. It's been, I think, delayed even for
2 years.
Yeah,
It's been pushed back 2 years.
So we knew this was a big chunk of money coming down the pike, but until everybody else got their acting gear, we couldn't really do much about it. So comments or questions for either Mr. Gray on the budget end or Lieutenant Ward on in terms of the hardware. Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Snipes?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
No, I feel like we've discussed this many times.
Yeah. Mr. Rocco?
I have none, thank you.
Okay, and imagine public comment? No? All right, so we have to do, I think, 2 things here. First, we have to approve a resolution to basically join with the county in the purchase of this, and then we can go ahead and approve the expenditure of the money. Is that correct, Mr. Clark?
That is correct.
Okay, so this would be Resolution 13-25, which is requesting authorization to participate in the purchasing contract between County of Bucks and Motorola Solutions Incorporated. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 13-25?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and in terms of expenditure, since we're still waiting a little bit on some of the money, it's just authorizing the expenditure of, I think we have to list an exact price, don't we?
I think you should. I think we, since we all love seeing Lieutenant Ward so much, I think
We could wait to the next meeting, or I was talking to Pete, say something like no more than $720,000 for the fire department, EMS, and police department.
You can do it that way if you'd like also.
Would that cover it?
I think it will. I have padded it a little bit. They're telling us that it might cost about $150. I'm adding about another $75 for each installation, so I can't see it going much more than that.
Okay, because I'm looking at the
780, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the 100 for Fairless
Well,
Hills.
Fairless Hills Fire Company is separate from us. I don't know. I can't
Okay.
speak for them.
I got you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about
Just
police.
you're talking just township stuff.
Yeah, I'm just talking about police,
right.
Richie DiPolito's office, and the road crew.
Right. Okay. Apologize. I'm looking at the numbers. All right. So, what's the board's pleasure here? We could do an amount not to exceed $720,000, and that way, when the money comes in, Lieutenant Ward and Mr. Gray have the authority just to spend it. Is that something we're okay with?
I think that's fine, yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Snipes?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item is consider application for the 2013 Fall Bare Root Tree Program. This is one of Mr. Gray's pet projects. Just quickly replacing Mr. Snipes as the
tree hugger?
Yes.
Resident tree hugger?
Somebody's got to just slowly filling in the space here since you'll be leaving us. As, Mr. Gray's trying to fill those shoes.
You're already looking forward to me leaving.
No, not at all.
The township received the application for the annual fall 2013 Bare Root Tree offer through the Shade Tree Commission. Bare root trees would be available in November for planting shortly thereafter. The township has done similar bare root tree programs in prior years, planting them throughout the township. Over 280 trees have been purchased through the Tree Vitalized program by the township. An application is required for the program. The Shade Tree Committee is requesting 20 trees at a cost of $50 each for a total cost of $1,000. Deadline for the application is September 9th. The board is asked to consider the purchase of 20 trees as part of the Tree Vitalize program for $1,000 for the township.
Okay. All right. Questions for Mr. Gray? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Snipes?
And these are all off an approved list of native trees or trees that grow well in this area?
Yeah, there's a list, and the Shade Tree Committee, every time we go around, they determine what trees would grow best in the township, and from that list, we come up with the trees to put in the order.
And I guess I've heard some news that some cities at least are looking at changing the varieties of trees they recommend because of changes in temperatures and global warming. So I'm sure they're keeping that in mind, but some
without a
trees
doubt.
that might have done well in this climate, we may need to move trees toward trees that do better in southern climates because of our changing heat. Sounds great. I support it.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, so it looks like November 21st is the pickup?
Yeah, I believe that's when it is, yes.
And we're
November
planning-
21st.
I don't, it seems kind of late to me personally, but to plant them, are we planning on planting them right away?
Yeah, right away. As soon as they come in, we'll have them in the ground probably within 48 hours.
Okay. All right, that was it.
You personally?
No, Public Works.
You said we, I thought you meant.
No, Township.
Well, he's got 5 kids, so they can each plant.
Yeah, we're going to do it on the weekend.
There you go.
That's all I had. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, the question, what's the usual process for deciding where these trees go?
We work with the Shade Tree Committee, and I believe in the past they've come up with certain locations. Majority of the trees in the past have been planted in the community park, some other locations as well. I think we've also shared that information with other members of the board as well, let them know. But usually it starts with the Shade Tree Commission.
Okay. All right, I guess certainly, in terms of the 5 of us, if there are areas where we kind of see that there's a need for trees, I think we planted some in the green area, I think on Mill Creek Road, didn't we?
Yes.
Think? We planted some there. In the past, we put some in some other parks, so, obviously, not that the Township Park doesn't deserve to have lots of trees, but there's always other areas too, so, okay? So, just keep something in mind. But thank you very much, Mr. Gray, for the work you do, as well as the members of the Shade Tree Commission. It's a very good board. They do a real nice job. Public comment? I don't imagine there's any. Okay, is there a motion then to approve the expenditure of $1,000 for the bare root tree offer?
So moved.
Seconded?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Snipes?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda, item 6, is consider withdrawal of the authorization to advertise an amendment to the housing standard ordinance. I guess it was July, I think it was the July meeting,
16th.
maybe June, yeah, July meeting, when the township authorized advertisement of an amendment to our code that would address vehicles parked on lawns, project vehicles, other kinds of motor vehicles parked on lawns. It has sparked a lot of debate among people in the township. We've gotten quite a few emails and phone calls from people. We had residents at our last meeting who spoke about it. And it's caused some debate amongst ourselves as a board as to what exactly we want to do and what direction we want to go in. And so what I think we have decided to do as a board is just for the moment to, I guess you could say, deauthorize the advertisement of this, basically to pull this draft of the ordinance off the table. We're going to talk about it amongst ourselves a little bit more. I think we would agree that there's a need to sort of strengthen some of our code in terms of dealing with people who have a project vehicle, so-called project vehicle, that just basically sits somewhere for a very long period of time and nothing ever really gets done with it, versus people that might have vehicles parked on their property in a totally different manner. And we want to make sure we're sort of segregating out so that we're hitting the things we want to hit and not hurting people who really aren't doing anything wrong. I'll open up the board for any comments or concerns or questions they have regarding this. As I say, I think we're going to definitely do something, but we're taking this, sort of pulling it off the table, and we'll look at this again more closely. Mr. Galloway, any thoughts?
No, I think that just the fact that we're pulling it off the table for further discussions is enough. Thank you.
Mr. Snipes?
Yes, I agree.
Mr. Dents?
No. No comment.
Okay.
No comments. I agree it's a good idea to pull it out. It was far too restrictive.
All right. Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, that was my take on it. Was a little too restrictive. I think there is some things we need to do, but let's do the right thing and pull it off and look at it and make sure we make the right decision for it. So.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion then to, so we've never actually done this before, to withdraw? So I have to keep looking at it. We worked for about 5 or 10 minutes just on the language of this, how we would list it. To withdraw the authorization to advertise the amendment to Chapter 138.
Yes. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any public comment needed? See no hands. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, item 7 is consider finalizing the award for the 2013 road program. Mr. Ray? Or we'll go to Mr. Sullivan, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Township Engineer's Office has issued a responsible contractor determination for the 2013 Falls Township Road Reconstruction Program. This determination indicates that James D. Morrissey Incorporated and its subcontractors meet all the requirements of Chapter 146 of the Falls Township Code. It is therefore recommended that the Board of Supervisors finalize the award of the contract to James D. Morrissey Incorporated for the 2013 road program in the amount of $5,439,168.68.
Okay. All right, comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Snipes?
No, none.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
No.
And Morrissey has, most of our work over the past several years has been with General Asphalt. Morrissey did work 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
2010 was the last
2010.
time, yes.
Okay, and it was
And they are also 2009, I think. as well.
2009, okay. All right, so they are a company, and they have a pretty good track record. They're doing a lot of the work on Route 13, actually.
It's not like we get to pick and choose. They're the low
Correct.
bidder.
Right. I mean, they're the low bidders, but they're a company that, typically we've been dealing now over the past, with this road program with General Asphalt. We've had some issues, so Morrissey coming in, hopefully we'll get a little bit of a different response. And,
A little better outcome.
So, okay. So is there a motion to authorize the final award for the 2013 road program to J.D. Morrissey?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, minutes. I think we finally are able to sort of pass the minutes from July 16th. We've taken a look at them for a while. Comments or questions for the minutes of July 16th? Any?
No, excellent minutes once again, Mrs. Bullen. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rocco, Mr. Galloway were absent for this particular meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented for July 16th?
I'll make that motion, yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? And nays? Okay, all right.
I should abstain, huh?
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, technically, you don't actually have to be at the meeting to approve the
Oh,
minutes.
okay.
You just approve, but it's sort of, some people want to abstain. No big deal. Okay, August 20th, 2013, the minutes presented here. Comments or questions from Mrs. Poland? Corrections anywhere from anybody?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, is there a motion then to approve the minutes for August 20th as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, there is a need for an executive session. We're going to do that later on. Manager comment?
I have nothing tonight, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Board comment then. So any board comment, Mr. Rocco?
I have none. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Dents?
I want two comments. One was something that Mr. Mariani mentioned earlier, was the leaf vacuum. And that's something that was brought up when you and I ran for this office. A lot of people asked about that, and we did look into that. And I believe at one time Falls Township did have a leaf vacuum.
They did, yeah.
The problem now is that it's very hard and it's almost unsafe for us to use a leaf vacuum due to the fact that people would be blowing their leaves into the street, and most of the people in Falls Township park in the street, and it's a major fire hazard. It's not the expense of buying a leaf vacuum. That's not that, I mean, I'm sure there's an expense, but it's the fact that it's really not practical for us to use a leaf vacuum. The other thing I wanted to mention was the gun buyback. I wasn't here at the last meeting when we voted to approve it, but that is something that I would have voted for. The gun buyback was something that I was opposed to for the longest time until something right here in Falls Township changed my mind. And that's when the incident at Dick's Sporting Goods, when a man went in there and used a gun, an old, non-functioning gun that I don't know where he got it from. And he used that to steal, I guess you could say, a gun from the Dick's Sporting Goods, and he used that to commit suicide, which was very sad. But those are the exact guns that we will hopefully get off the street. A lot of people say that that's all you're going to get is junk, and we're not in the business of buying guns. The point is to get guns off the street, not to buy quality guns. So any gun we get off the street that could possibly save a life or prevent one crime, in my opinion, is worth it. So that would have been, my vote would have been yes for the gun buyback. And that's all I have for public comment.
Okay.
Or board comment, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Snipes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a couple of things reminding residents of Historic Fallsington Day coming up on October 12th. And their newsletter from Historic Fallsington talks about the various Native American dancing it's going to be going on, jugglers, Punch and Judy show, other dancers, and of course all the booths and vendors that are there. It's a great day and encourage people to come to
And it's
Historic
free.
Fallsington Day.
It's free.
And it's free, most importantly. And also there are other, dinner and auction on November 16th, also to raise money for Historic Fallsington. It's a great organization in our community to keep our history alive in the little jewel of Fallsington. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Galloway.
No comments tonight.
Okay. Just to echo Mr. Dentz's comments about the, talking about the gun buyback, and I had forgotten actually that the Dick's Sporting Goods incident involved a gun that was not operable. I had forgotten about that part of the story. And as he said, people were saying, well, all you're going to get is junk guns. Well, there are very, very few people, I think, trained enough to know a junk gun when it's pushed in their face, if it's dark, or even if it's not dark. Certain guns are obviously junk, but it still could be used to commit some kind of crime, and so it's better just to get them off the streets. Also, just touching on what Mr. Mariani talked about again, he makes continued reference to the fact that we spend a lot of money to help a very small percentage of the people of Falls Township, but just kind of making a list as he was speaking, we've spent money just since I've been on the board, not only for roads, but also for dog owners, for boaters, for people who play or have kids who play soccer, for people who play or have kids who play baseball, for kids who play or people who have kids who ride skateboards, and for senior citizens. I don't necessarily think that those are small percentages of the township when you start adding them all together. How many dog owners there are are quite a few people who own boats. Obviously, we have one of the largest senior citizen populations in Bucks County. Giving kids places to go for recreation, I think is a good thing. There was a horrible case in, I think it was Oklahoma, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where some kids essentially admitted they were bored and basically got a gun and went around and saw somebody jogging down the street and shot them. A horrendous case, but obviously, there's a biblical quote about idle hands. So if we can do something to keep kids occupied, not of course that we are preventing that kind of thing from happening, but certainly if the kids are occupied having fun and doing something, then that's always a good thing. I can't see how that's a bad thing. So, and since I've been on the board, the amount of money that's been in our savings account has gone up. While we've done all these things and kept taxes the same. If not, we did a small cut, I forget when, back in 05 maybe, or 04. So, but again, I understand his point, and he sees tiny little pieces of the township being helped, and I think it's actually a bigger number than he thinks. So we'll agree to disagree. As I said, we're going to have an executive session, but we'll report on that at our next meeting. And so at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?